All right, here we go.
Great.
Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Horror Heathen YouTube channel and the South Jersey Horror Podcast. Today, I'm sitting down with the wonderful, the talented, and the beautiful Katy Wilson, who plays Nancy, and one of the newest body horror movies on cinema is called Slanted. So, picture a world where you can trade your face for a stock photo version of perfection and just win a high school popularity contest. That's what this movie feels like to me. So we are talking about the film that absolutely dominated the South by Southwest this year and taking home the grand jury prize. Congratulations on that, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
So with me today is the rising star, Katy Wilson. So please give me a very warm welcome. If you better stand up, give her a standing ovation. If not, I'm going to kick your ass. So please stand up, give her a standing ovation for my special guest, Katy Wilson. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks
How the
so
hell are you doing?
Good. I'm so excited to be here.
Likewise, the honor and pleasure is all mine. I love talking to actors about new movies that just got released. Well, not just released, but
Yeah.
movies that win awards, because that is a huge milestone, a huge achievement for everyone who has participated in that movie. So
Yeah.
kudos for you. So give us
It was
some
so
of,
cool.
give,
We won South by Southwest 2025 because 2026 just happened.
yeah,
And it was, I mean, that was so insane. We won the grand jury prize for narrative feature. And I had already left Austin at that point because I went to the premiere and did the red carpet thing and everything. But I had already left by the time they were doing the jury and the announcement. So I found out via, I think, text message from another cast member. And then I went on Instagram and it was blowing up. So
that is outstanding.
yeah.
Again, I'm so happy for you because, like I said, South by Southwest is a huge festival that everybody knows about. This. It's like a whole world knows about that festival.
Yeah.
And to have your movie premiere there and to win an award at the same time. I mean, shit, just
Yeah.
give yourself a pat on the back for that. Give yourself a high
I
five.
know. Just a huge pat. I know. No, it was amazing. I mean, it was by far the coolest experience I've had as far as a release. Normally, especially I do like if I'm on TV, it's great. I'm just watching the show like anyone else when the episode airs. Or if you are in like a TV movie or a Christmas movie, it's super fun, but it's not the same as like watching it in a theater, a packed theater. It was at the Zach Theater in Austin, and the cast all came in and sat down, and like every seat was full. And it was just one of those, I was like, oh, we're all about to watch this for the first time together. Like that is so scary and amazing. Yeah.
So, how did you feel to see yourself on the big screen?
Oh my gosh, it was incredible. It was the first time I'd seen myself in a movie theater. Everything else has been on TV, which is lovely, or streamers like Netflix, and HBO and stuff like that, which I'm so grateful for. But it is so different seeing the big screen. And I think at South by Southwest, I blacked out a little bit because I knew I had already asked Amy Wang, our amazing director and writer. I had already been like, do a girl a solid. Like, was I cut out of this movie? Like, just let me know. And she was like, no, absolutely not. Like, all your stuff was kept in. And I was like, okay, okay. So I knew I was going to be, because that happens to actors all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
huge actors get cut out of movies. Simone Ashley got cut out of Formula One, I think, that F1 movie. And so I think it was just so nice to like go in at least knowing I'm in this, but I had not seen anything from it except for maybe a couple clips, but not even a full trailer. So when it started, and the movie is provocative for, obviously for a reason. And so I was very nervous, but it was really cool I had some fun. I had a lot of laughs at a lot of my stuff, which was exciting. So, yeah.
That's great. Phenomenal. I love it.
Yeah.
So, I'm hoping that my role in that movie I started is not cut out. That would suck.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
I know the feeling. I have a
Yeah.
small part in a movie coming out that's being released this year in October,
Oh,
and
cool.
I'm hoping I hope the director keeps it. I really do. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like a 30-second role as a podcaster, and I'm hoping that it stays. So
I
fingers
know.
crossed.
I think it's helpful now. I feel like actors are talking about that a little bit more. My first kind of big TV booking was on this Netflix show called Florida Man. And I was so excited because my role was in the pilot. And I was like, it's like the opener of the show. I was like, they definitely won't cut it. and they ended up combining the first episode and the second episode of the season, and they basically made a new pilot. And so my entire plot line was cut. So I thankfully casting let me know ahead of time. They emailed my agent and was like, "Katie's been cut out. So sorry." And I was devastated. And then now I'm like, "Oh, that's like a rite of passage a bit for an
Yeah.
actor. It happens all the time." Yeah.
Bastards, they better not cut it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
your character, Nancy, is a part of the social fabric Joe Hunt enters into her transformation.
Hmm.
And how does your character represent the norm that Joan is so desperately trying to achieve, and how do the cracks go through the facade? So yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Nancy is the receptionist slash avid lover of Ethnos Inc. Ethnos Inc. is the company that I work for. And spoiler alert, we take people who are wanting to change their race to become white in the movie. So Joan is coming in she feels like lost in her identity as a young Asian woman in America. And her parents are incredibly proud, and she's a first generation American. So they're very proud of their heritage, and she's very not proud. So she gets targeted by this Instagram ad to come to Ethnosync and she meets me first, and then she meets the surgeon, my boss in the movie. And both of us, spoiler, we've both had the surgery. So that's a huge part of our characters, is that we are avid believers in this surgery, and we are not the we are not the good guys in this movie for sure, but we are presenting a way forward for Joan. And then she ultimately keeps coming back to the surgery center once she has the surgery herself, and then ultimately starts to realize the ramifications of changing one's race and identity. And so she meets me multiple times. I think this kind of character was so interesting when I got the audition, because it's a wild concept. And actually, this role was never meant initially in the first script. This role was a quick one-liner, and then they were going to, yeah, it was initially just a one-liner, and then the director asked Wang asked for me to read for this role, which was supposed to be a woman in her 50s that it said on the page looks a lot like Flo from Progressive, which is really interesting. And I was like, I got it. And I was like, my agent was like, "Hey, they want you to read for this. Can you put it on tape today?" And I was like, "Okay, sure." And I was like, "Well, I'm obviously not in my 50s, and I'm also obviously not like Flo from Progressive, but I think they're trying to get to this idea of like almost like a Barbie-like perfection." And that's something I was like, I'm interested in like playing around with that idea. So I wore, I remember in the character description, she was supposed to have like bright lipstick. So I wore like bright lipstick, but the rest of I just did it like myself. But I made her like slightly like, she's in it so deep at that point, mentally. She's in this space of like
right,
believing
right.
ethnos so much that she's almost robotic in her movements. Like she's almost a little bit like, "Are you sure you're all there?" And they had one of the descriptions was that she had a smile like a Cheshire cat. And I was like, that's interesting, because that's someone who like a little bit like the movies. I'm thinking of the Stepford Wives, like a little bit like that. Like not sure they're fully there anymore. They're so deeply entrenched into, or Don't Worry, Darling, like all of those movies where you're so deeply entrenched into an identity. So I found that really exciting to play with in the audition. And yeah, and so I sent in the tape, and thankfully I was so excited I booked it, and then they changed the role completely. They added scenes, they let me improv, so it really evolved.
That's awesome. And for the record, Flo is a very lovable person on TV. Just so
100% love Flo. And she's made a career. I mean, that actress is killing it. I just was like, I don't necessarily bring I can bring like the salesman aspect of Flo, but I was like, I'm not sure I have some of the same essence characteristics. So I just was like, I got to bring myself to this tape. Yeah.
but you did it, so
Yeah.
that's good. I mean, it's
Yeah. Yeah.
good. Good for you. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. So one minute it's a high school comedy, and the next it's a total body horror movie. So we
Yeah.
see the atmosphere, we see the whole atmosphere change. The whole,
Yeah.
like, I want to say, from my aspect, the whole premise just changed all of a sudden. And so, what was your first reaction when you read the script from for the ethnos clinic scenes? I mean,
Yeah.
what was your what was
Oh my
going through your
gosh.
head?
Well, we had a table read because I didn't see the full script in the audition. That's pretty typical, is you just get your own sides. And I knew, well, one, I knew the team was Amy Wang was, I had like seen that she's the writer, she's the director. So I was like, this isn't coming from like a white person's perspective. Like this is coming from an Asian perspective. And so I trusted that it would be done well because I was like, this is a very tricky topic we're diving into here. So anyway, we all hopped on the Zoom. We had a Zoom table read. And I was so excited about the cast, just some fantastic actors. And even on the Zoom, I felt like people were in shock at some of the parts of the movie. Like in particular, there's a musical number that happens.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
dream sequence musical number, and that's pretty shocking when you read it on the page. Um, but I think so. Yes, the beginning of the movie is like Mean Girls vibes. Like she's trying to be prom queen. Joan wants more than anything just to be accepted by her peers. Very relatable high school comedy moment. Everything kind of hinges on the fact that she decides like her going to ethnos is absolutely the change in the movie of like deciding that she's like, no, you know what? I'm tired of feeling less than at school. She's running for prom queen and no one's taking her seriously, but she notices they are taking all of the white blonde girls seriously. So she's like, I've got it. I'm going to make a teenage decision to just go to this place. And ethnos it was really important to our art department, like everyone who made ethnos, who created that scenery, wanted it to feel very inspired by like spas, California, kind of. They even have like they had like Goop as Gwyneth Paltrow's company is like inspiration, like anything that's like beautiful, lush, very green. So when you walk into Ethnos for the first time, it's supposed to feel like a serene spa. And they wanted it to feel the opposite of like a scary doctor's office, like very calming, very reassuring. And then those scenes, we spent a full day just on her introduction to ethnos because it was so key that she gets kind of wooed by this company and that they are so good at convincing you that changing your race is desirable. It was also very inspired, I think. They've talked a lot about the inspiration of our current age of plastic surgery. It's also inspired a bit in that area of like you can literally do anything to your face now, and it was a little bit of inspired by that as well. So yeah, those scenes were really pivotal. And then you actually see ethnos change. So at the very beginning of the movie, you see that they don't have a ton of money. They have kind of a weird entrance. Like when he like she first opens the door, it's like kind of dark and dingy. And then it opens up into this beautiful office. And no one else is in the office when she first walks in. By the last scene that you see her in ethnos, it's packed with people. And the line is out the door. So it's just showing that this is a company that's getting more and more powerful. And for my character, they wanted her to get more and more Barbie-like as the movie goes on. So at the beginning, when you first meet me, I'm in a more normal outfit. And then by my final scene, I almost look like I have a fancy dress on. I'm looking a little bit like we're all doing better. The company is growing. So yeah.
You went from thrift stores to Saks and Fifth. So
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. They like when I was in my costume fitting, they were like, we're going to progress your costumes to the level of wealth every time she comes back. Ethnos is doing better. Yeah.
it kind of reminds me of the substance of just a little bit. So I mean,
100%.
so yeah, even
Yes.
though
We actually filmed it in summer of 2024. And what's so funny is Substance wasn't even out yet. And then Substance came out and we were all like, oh my gosh.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
very similar. Yeah.
So you would think you're trying to decide which one was the inspiration. But of course, this one came out before the Substance film, so
Yeah.
it kind of makes you wonder if Slanted was an inspiration for Substance. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean,
Exactly.
either way, they're both good movies. Anyway,
Yeah. Thank you.
um, your character Nancy is right there in the mix during the prom queen race,
Yeah.
and Jesus, I'm getting Carrie vibes like from watching this movie too. So it's great. Um, did you pull from your own high school memories to play in the popular crowd, or was it
Oh.
just satire?
I didn't have any scenes like in the high school, but I think I did understand like when she comes back, basically when McKenna Grace comes back and is trying to change her face. She's like, "You have to help me," because spoiler, her face is melting off. Right, some of that's the body horror. Right, her face is not staying like she thought it would. And so she comes back to Ethnos, and this is right before this is like prom night's happening. It's not going well. And so she's like running in to try and fix it and to fix her face. And I think I think what I found interesting, even though I wasn't necessarily in the high school scenes, was it is so relatable of remembering what that pressure was like to fit in. Like when you're watching some of those scenes, especially her just wanting to have a good prom experience. I totally remember that. I remember thinking prom was this pivotal moment in my life and so important. And I think when I watched the movie, because I was involved in so much of the ethnos, well, all my scenes are ethnos specific, that it was really lovely to see some of the high school scenes that were just devastating because you're like, oh, this poor girl is being totally manipulated by, this company that is just trying to, change her. But all she wants is just to be seen as, a popular girl at school. And that's so relatable. And you really
Everybody wanted to be
feel for
popular.
Joan's. Yeah, you really feel for Joan's journey, I think, the whole time. Yeah.
So, what was it like being on set with the face melting effects were happening? I mean, was it
Yeah.
gross? Was it gross to watch?
It was really cool. Our VFX team did amazing jobs, but also our makeup team on the day did such a good job of creating because basically when she comes in, it's this part of her face, and they really did a good job of not making it so it's not horrific by that point. It just looks really odd. So they really had to gradually create that. I'm sure for McKenna, it was not very fun, but she had some prosthetics. So she had prosthetics under her eye to make it look like her eye's literally drooping. And she also had prosthetics here on her chin because she starts like pulling skin off as well. Um, so they had to do very specific progression because then by the end of the movie, it's the most horrific body horror at that point because that's when she's actually like ripping her face off. And that, oh my gosh, I wasn't on set for that day, but I'm sure it was incredible. But yeah, on the day we filmed, and I felt like McKenna was such a champ. She had so much on her face, and they're constantly touching it to make sure that it will look good. And she's trying to cover it up. So when she first enters the scene, she's kind of like holding her hair like this, and then she's finally showing like what the problem is. And my character very quickly recognizes the problem and gives a very inadequate option. I literally just hand her tape and some cream. And I'm like, just tape your face. Um, and I think probably my characters had the surgery as well. So I might have had this problem as well. Later, another character references that your old face fights back. That's like one of the phrases that they use.
I would have walked over, was like, "Hey, you look like melted ice cream. I want to cover that up."
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it was wild. I mean, they did such a good job, though. They really did.
Okay, so the director Amy Wang has spoken about how this film is born from personal experience. Um,
Yeah.
what was the collaborative process like on set to ensure that the community felt authentic while maintaining its heightened reality?
Yeah, that's a good question. Amy was so incredible. She this basically she is from originally from Australia. She is struggled, I think, in high school with the same identity issues that Joan struggled with and felt like she, fought kind of her Asian identity. And I think she found Slanted to be very, and I think the audiences did too, especially at South by Southwest. It was so moving to see people who really identified with Joan and really felt, especially some of the painful parts of the movie, aside from like the high school fun stuff or the craziness of ethnos. It's ultimately it's a very truthful, I think, especially with the family, Joan's parents and her. Some of those scenes were some of the most like heartbreaking. When Fang, actually, her dad in the movie says, I used to see your grandmother in you. And, when she's changed her whole face and she's like, and he's like, I used to see your grandmother, like my mother in you, and you've taken that away. Oh, it's like so brutal. And so I thought Amy did such a good job of first, I think, collaborating with everyone very intensely from the beginning of like, we all did the Zoom table read. The moment I stepped on set, she was interested in improv. She like wanted me to try things out. We gave a lot of takes. We really played in the room. She's a very kind and direct director, but she's also really interested in you figuring things out. So, like for my character, we didn't know how much we wanted her to feel still realistic, but slightly crazy. So she was very good about letting me like one take I would go really far. And she'd be like, amazing, let's pull back now and see what it looks like when we just have options. And on one of the scenes where her parents run in and they're trying to get me and the doctor to change her back, she really let me play around with improv in that scene because most of my stuff on the page is not what I ended up saying in the movie. So that was really fun. And I think in general, she knew this movie was provocative in that it is going to stir conversations. And she was really good about like, even on set, we had some conversations. We also had a very diverse crew, which meant a lot. I felt like it was diverse both in front of the camera, but also, behind the camera. And especially because Slanted is, it is not, it is, I'm so happy to be there and support people in the story, but it is not my story. So I was really wanting to make sure that whatever I was doing was supporting, Amy and her vision and making sure that I could do the best that I could to be there for a story that I think is really important and really I felt very honored to be a part of. So yeah.
Good answer. I like it.
Yeah. Thanks.
So, so you share scenes with McKenna Grace on set, who plays another version of the lead character.
Yeah.
And what was the energy like filming those high stakes high school sequences of horror elements? Well, literally, it's just bubbling under the surface.
Yeah. McKenna was amazing. And she had such an interesting job because she had to be like Shirley Chen plays the Asian Joan and McKenna Grace plays the white Joan, right? They had to then work on how to play the same like essentially McKenna needed to make sure that she was taking from what Shirley had created and still having mannerisms of that character. Because when Shirley first meets me, um, later when I then am interacting with McKenna, they have to feel like the same character. And so both of those women had to really work on like how do I best make sure that we're playing the same person, essentially, even though we're two different people. And I think for me, I also am dealing with like two, both Shirley coming in. And I think when in my scenes with her, she's very timid when she's first walking into Ethnos. She's very unsure. And I think I had to be the most reassuring, the most like, oh, you're going to love it. You're going to love this surgery. It changes your life. I also am like so deeply, almost cult-like following of the doctor, of R. Keith, who played Dr. Singer. I think the more devoted I seem to him and to the cause, the more Shirley is like, wow, this thing must be amazing. So I think I played in that with Shirley, and then with McKenna, I played with she comes in and from the get-go, she's freaking out because her parents want her to reverse the surgery, and then everything starts melting. So in both scenes with McKenna, I was also just, I think, trying to play reassuring, but I think there is a little bit of fear of like, what if this surgery doesn't really work? There is that fear of like the cult like mentality breaking. So I did play a little bit with like with McKenna, especially wanting to get her out of there as soon as possible, get her out of the doctor's office because there are other clients there that her freak out could make them not want to have the surgery. And so there was a little bit of that like don't tell anyone that this isn't working because we need to all believe it's true. We need to just keep swimming in these cold waters. Yeah, so it was very fun. And it was cool getting to interact with both of them. Yeah.
Great. So we talked earlier how the movie won the grand jury prize at South by Southwest,
Yeah.
and the project. I mean, it seems to be sparking with so much intense conversation about the Asian American identity and the beauty standards.
Yeah.
What are your opinions on that?
I think that it was interesting. That was a big question on the red carpet as well. People were talking about like beauty standards and everything. I think I what I love about the movie is that it forces you to confront uh how identity feels even if you're not like obviously I can't I've not had the lived experience as an Asian person, but I do have a lived experience of a woman in 2026 that is dealing with the beauty standards and really unrealistic beauty standards of Hollywood and stuff like that. So that felt really interesting to me to explore. I also think what it does so beautifully is it calls out um our kind of current obsession with like all looking the same, whether that's all looking a certain race or all looking a certain beauty standard. And I think what's truly my favorite like line in the movie is Fong when he says like I said, the you looked like your grandmother to me. And it's this simple scene in the parking lot where her parents are kind of yelling at her and at McKenna. And she's like, "What do you mean? Don't you want me to just be popular?" And he's like, "I you have lost what made you you." Um, and I thought in the truly at South by Southwest, like hearing people cry during that scene, and then at the end, what's so beautiful is that ultimately she chooses to by like ripping her face off. She wants to go back to who she really was. She wants to go back, and the final still of the movie is so gorgeous in that there's this hope because you see that she gets her actual real eye back. She's like ripped it enough that you see that eye. And it's this moment where she's smiling because she's finally looking at herself in the mirror and seeing the beauty in that and not seeing before all she would do is look in the mirror and see all the things she hated. So it's a really, I think it's such a lovely reminder that who we are is enough and we should celebrate all of our differences and celebrate the fact that we all have different ethnicities and different gender and like all of that should be celebrated instead of it being like let's keep us as same as possible. um, and I think it does that by being a very dark satire in the movie and by being body horror and all these things that hopefully people will enjoy watching the story, but also has a conversation of like, yeah, what do I think about identity? And how does it feel to live in America as a non-white person, as evidenced by so many things, not always great. And so I think the movie really tackles those issues of like, how does it feel to walk down the street looking a little bit different? Um, and that was something I think so I feel so honored to be a part of a story that's like pushing a narrative, and pushing people to have interesting conversations. You don't always get to be in projects that are like that. So it felt really cool to be a part of something that is really asking people to have interesting conversations.
I agree with that, and I would drink to that as well.
Yeah,
So, I I'm a huge supporter of the LBGT community. So,
yeah,
and because I know some people who decided to transition over, I had no problem with that, and I still love them for who they are, no matter what decisions they decide to make. And this movie, I believe, almost identifies with that community as well, because,
yeah,
like you
of
said,
course.
it's
Yeah.
this is the Asians who come over this country. They want to be part of the society, and
Mhm.
society just pushes them out, and it makes me so fucking sad. Sorry, it's just
Yeah,
it burns my ass sometimes. But that's
yeah,
that's another thing for another time. So we only got a few minutes left. I told you that 10 minutes is gonna fly by real quick.
yeah, it
So
does.
so this is more a personal question, and it's kind of off
Sure.
topic. So between this and your roles in Will Trent, which is I love this show. So
Thanks. Yeah, yeah,
and She the People. So
yeah.
2025 was a massive year for you. So and is there a specific genre that you're dying to jump into next? Something
Oh,
that's less melty. So
yes, something less melty. That's good. Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. In Will Trent, I play a woman in a cult. I was like, I really got to get out of these cult things. Um, and then in Miss Governor is a political comedy. It changed names. It was She the People, and then it became Miss Governor. So your name was correct. But I think I would really love to do a period piece. I think that would be really fun. I would love to do some, yeah, like anything. I would love to be like suddenly in a corset in the 1800s, like just something totally different would be very fun. So yeah, a
next
period
Pirates of the
piece,
Caribbean
like
movie.
yeah, exactly. Anything like pre 2000 would be really fun. And yeah, I was so blessed in the past year to have such interesting roles. Like I felt like I got to play um on Will Trent, I'm like running away from a cult and I end up in a hospital and this was such an incredible experience with Slanted. And then I had Miss Governor, I'm this like really intense political reporter, like going after the story. It just felt like I got to play in a lot of different sandboxes. And that's always so fun as an actor because I didn't, and I got to also do last year I filmed a Lifetime movie as well, and then a Christmas movie that came out on Up TV. And so those were just so fun and totally different as well. So I'm very grateful. Yeah, maybe a period piece next. That sounds fun. Yeah.
I can definitely see you wearing a corset. So,
Yeah. Thank you.
so,
Got to get that on the list.
so that's all the time we have, unfortunately. We
Yeah.
only have a few minutes left. So, Katie, this has been a blast talking to you about your
Thanks.
role in Slanted and hearing about the behind the scenes madness of Slanted, which I love hearing stories from actors who are on set.
Yeah.
The living vicariously through video. I love it. So,
Yes.
so thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. I really do appreciate it.
Thank
And
you.
for everyone listening, if you want to see the movie that'll still make you laugh, cringe, and totally rethink the concept of fitting in, you
Yeah.
have to check out Slanted. It's an absolute awesome movie, and I do back it up 100%, 5 out of 5. It's an incredible movie with incredible count, incredible cast.
Thank
Again,
you.
I almost called you Katie.
That's okay. Yeah, yeah. No
so,
worries. Thank you
so
so much.
Katie, thank you for joining me. I wish you nothing but success in your career in the future,
Thank you.
and I will definitely see you on the big screen in a period piece.
Yes, exactly. Next. Thank you so much. Thanks for chatting with me.
All right. Thank you. Take care.